my Mercurial mercenaries! Go grab yourselves a coffee. This is a bit of a time waster. As Explosive Notes said recently, I'm making videos faster than you guys can watch them. But this is all an experiment in how easy this can be. Easy? Easy is relative. This is a belated video. This is a subject that a lot of music related channels have already covered. They covered it immediately. And for that reason, I think probably a lot of them missed the mark. I like to sit back a little and just absorb. Except, as I say in the ticker down below, except when I just come straight out there. Whatever I do, I'm always right. This is the story, the recent story of Threatin. Now, by sitting back a little, I've been able to read this great story on the BBC News website, where they actually interviewed the guy. It hasn't really changed my opinion. My opinion was pretty much as I'm going to say it now on the day that I first heard the story. But I heard the likes of, I think Anthony Fantano covered it, Spectre Sound Studios, Glenn Fricker covered it. A lot of these channels, websites, news stories, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, covered this story from the negative angle, frowning upon this guy and frowning upon what he did, the fraudulent aspects of it. But I just want to talk about the story a little bit, and just down in the comments section below I want to hear what you guys think about it, because as you know, and I hope you're getting the vibe from this now, the genuine vibe, I do read all your comments, and because I read them I therefore care what you have to say. Hope that's really obvious. So, like I say, you can go to the BBC website and you can read this story in full. And it is very much in full, and it ends with an actual interview with the guy. Basically, the person who writes this story, Jessica Loosenhop, she goes and visits this guy and interviews him. But let me sum up the story in as few words as I can. This guy on the screen here, let me stick his face. Can we see his face? No, I'm in the way. Let's get his face. There you go. This guy here, he calls himself as an artist Threatin. Let's go with Threatin for the moment. And he calls himself full name Jared Threatin. Turns out he's actually called, because no one's going to be called that, there's no surprise, he's actually called Jared Eames. This guy's a musician, much like me. He records an album, plays all the instruments himself in his own little studio, and he probably tries to make some headway in the music business and fails. So what he does is he thinks out a plan of action which could only really be pulled off in this social media age. He creates a Facebook page. He creates, now this is something I've never done myself. I've only got one account, the Mercurial number 6. But I know there's trolls out there, there's people out there who enjoy creating multiple accounts, and for good or for bad. What Jared Eames does is he gets a book and he writes down lots of email addresses and associated passwords and creates usernames, and he keeps up to date with them all in his little black book. He buys a load of different mobile phones, because some websites require you to have a phone number to attach to the account. So he's got loads of mobile phones, loads of different websites, loads of different email addresses, loads of different usernames, and he builds up a presence on Facebook. He probably pays these sites that you can pay to get 1,000 subscribers or 10,000 subscribers, 40,000, 50,000, 100,000 subscribers. He gets a Facebook page set up under the name Threatin. The Facebook page has loads of subscribers, loads of people commenting, probably himself doing it all. He sets up different social media accounts. He sets up a YouTube page. I haven't researched this more than just hearing the news stories and reading this one interview. I haven't kind of gone to them myself to see whether they're still there or not. But he sets up a YouTube page. He gets footage from proper gigs, people playing stadiums, proper crowd shots, and he cuts using his own things, like I can here, using his own tools. He cuts the crowd shots in with him playing guitar against a green screen or whatever, and makes relatively realistic looking videos of this band, Threatin, playing big gigs on his YouTube site, And he gets, whether it be his own accounts commenting in the comment sections or whether he pays to get other subscribers in, he gets those looking big. So he's got a Twitter presence, he's got a Facebook presence, he's got a YouTube presence, he's got an album he's recorded. He sets up a fake record company to say that he's published his album on this record company. And then he gets an agent, which I think is his girlfriend or his mum or something. And he puts feelers out there to Europe, to the UK, to some of the famous venues in the UK, like the Camden Underground or whatever. And he tells them, look at my website. You can see that I've got 40,000 fans. You can see from my YouTube page that I'm a big band playing stadiums. I can guarantee that I'll sell out your venue. Can I have a gig, please? And they say, yeah, all right. So he sets out a UK tour, a European tour. That's what I'm trying to say, a European tour. Then what he does is he's a solo artist basically. He hires in, he puts feelers out there in America and he hires in a drummer, a bassist and a guitarist. And they come along and he says, we're going on a European tour. Can you please learn these songs? And he gives them his album. And they rehearse for a few weeks straight leading up to departing for this tour. And just before they leave on the plane for Europe, they kind of rehearse every day in his house. So they get to the point where this band, this what's now been described as a fake band, this band are a band of people playing real instruments, playing real songs that he's written. And I haven't Googled it, so I haven't sort of heard what they were like live, but I'm assuming that as they were hired in musicians, kind of studio, I mean, who knows, maybe they were like session musicians, I don't know, but a hired in team of musicians to play some real songs. I'm taken by the end of this intensive practice, they were probably pretty good. And then they fly out on the plane and they go to these gigs and they play a UK tour. So this is the guy here with his Marshall amp and his pedals. Here he is, look, moving with his guitars in his house with his CDs on the walls. I think these are the band members that he hired in. So by the end of it, you've got a band. Here they are, look, on tour. My first ever tour. My first tour ever. We're going to Europe and the UK. That's pretty crazy. This is one of the hired in band members. So, I mean, it's all right calling it fake, but they are a band who play real music going on a real tour. Here they are, look, here's Jared Threatin, and there's someone else playing an instrument there, and there's a drum kit in the background, and they've got Threatin written on the wall behind them. Here he is on social media, look. Threatin, this November, Threatin invades the UK and Europe on a new headlining tour. The Breaking the World Tour covers 6 countries, including England, Scotland, Ireland, France, Italy and Germany. Here they are, look. This is the Camden Underworld. There they are, their names up on the front of the venue, Threatin. Here's some more of his social media stuff, but look. Threatin, I mean my face is over it at the moment, but Threatin, Breaking the World Tour, UK and Europe, the Underworld, London. Trillions, Newcastle, Ivory Blacks, Glasgow, The Exchange, Bristol, Rebellion, Manchester, Asylum 2, Birmingham. I think this is the record label that he made up. I mean, I haven't researched this, so bear with me here. I'm just from what I've absorbed. So what happens is, these gigs happen. He goes to the Camden Underworld. They have some support bands. And he's, through his agent, he's told the venue operator of the Camden to expect, I think, 270 definite sold tickets. And of course, this is a guy who's come up with all this in his bedroom. He's invented all this. He's invented the fans, he's invented the websites, he's invented the interest in him. He's kind of invented his band, although like I said, they do exist. But the hype around himself is all invented. The ticket sales are invented, the fans are invented. So he gets to the venue and the support bands play to nobody. And the venue owners are angry because they were guaranteed ticket sales. So they put staff in place to cope with 300 people. Be that on the door or behind the bar or whatever. And then Threatin go on. And they play to nobody as well. And to secure these venues from the US, Jared Threatin had to pay about 700 quid for the hire of the venue. But on the night, when no one turns up, and the venue got the staff in place, they say to him, look, to carry on tonight, just to carry on playing, mate, you need to pay us some more money. So Jared goes out to a cash machine, gets more money. He's paid for the venues, and he pays more money to keep this show on the road. And yeah, there's no one at the venues, but he pays to keep the show on the road. Making myself more coffee now. And then that's the first gig in the tour done. Then he moves on to the next gig. And over the course of the first sort of 4 gigs, word of mouth builds. The support bands are saying, hang on, there's nobody coming to these gigs. What's going on here? And the venue owners are kind of texting the next venue in the chain saying, be careful here, there's something not right. And of course, people look into it and they research and they say, hang on a second, this guy hasn't got top 40 hits. He's not really a superstar. I mean, look into his videos and they say, hang on a minute, you just chopped bits of crowd footage up against bits of you with a green screen. You're not a real band. You haven't got a real following. And then the whole world jumps on board and basically the guy has to give up the tour 4 or 5 dates in. But the fact is that this guy he had to spend money to do it and put a lot of effort into do it, but he did kind of have a UK tour of some pretty good venues. He did it. And the whole world, all your music websites and music publications, including the BBC, who have got a proper story here, featuring highly on their website, have talked about him. And now, even though I sat back just to absorb it, probably thinking I wasn't going to talk about him at all, even I'm talking about him. So that's the general gist of the story. And it's mainly being portrayed by most people in a negative light. They called him a bit of a fraudster. Having one over on venue owners. Having one over on support bands. Tricking the world. That's the negative vibe, right? The positive vibe, the positive aspect of this is that someone, could be any of you, managed to set up, well, managed to, let's be fair here. As fair as I can be, having not listened to any of his songs, right? He writes, records, produces an album. He puts together a band who get to the point where they can play said album. He creates a load of fakery, which enables him to pull off a UK tour. And he doesn't, and he flies out to the UK tour and plays the UK tour. Yes, to nobody, because he had no fans. My point, one of my main points here is, yeah, do you know what? He played a gig to nobody. Do you know how many times I've played a gig to nobody? Holy shit. Does it matter? Is it anyone who's in bands out there, right? See if you can see where I'm coming from this. Does it matter if you play a gig to nobody? Some of my, this is ridiculous, but some of my best gigs I ever did were to pretty much nobody. To pretty much nobody. I did one gig once where, honest to God, I was playing on the stage and we'd set up, we got Marshall stacks, orange amps, bass amps. I think we had keyboards out, I think, as well. We got microphones, we had our own PA, we had lighting, smoke machines, everything. And I'm playing this gig and I look out and I think, oh, I can just see there's the barman behind the bar and there's like a trampy looking bloke standing to the side, and he's, you know, people say I played a gig to one man and his dog. Literally, there was this old bloke with a dog, a Jack Russell. That was it. There weren't even any girlfriends in there. There was the barman who was talking on a phone or something, and one man and his dog. To be fair, the one man and his dog were looking towards the stage, and I think the dog was enjoying it. But oh yeah, we all mock him. We mock this guy. Oh yeah, he flew all the way to the UK, and he did a tour. He played the Camden Underworld, and he played to nobody. Oh yeah, it's terrible. The thing is, a lot of bands out there have played gigs to nobody, and no one's talked about them. No one's talked about them. This guy plays 4 gigs to nobody, and everybody, including me, is talking about him. So who's the loser here? Who's the loser? Is he a loser? Because he's being portrayed as a loser. Right. I'm portraying the completely positive side here, which is of a bit of a jester or someone who knows that he can't make it, so creates a way of making it. The negative side here is, like his own brother says, his own brother's in a more successful proper metal band, who says that Jared is actually delusional, and his whole life is like fantasy. So I suppose there's a negative thing there when it comes to mental health or whatever. However, deluded, fantasy, whatever, he got off his arse, created a band who could actually play, and played a UK tour. Yeah, to nobody. How many times, back to like a circle, how many times have you guys who have been in bands played gigs to nobody but the support band? I have been to gigs. There's one gig in particular I went to by a very current successful band, one of the biggest bands in the world right now, where me and my drummer were the only people there. I swear to God, in the venue, we were the only people there. And each song, after they played a song, we gave them a polite hand clap. We were the only people there. Waved thanks, yeah, that's good. You could literally physically talk to them because they were just playing to you. And switch it round, I've done the same thing. I've played gigs where I can jump off a stage and shake hands with the only person there. I've done bigger gigs as well, with hundreds of people. I prefer the bigger gigs. But mocking this guy for putting all that effort in out of his own pocket to play to nobody, that's what every musician does. Every musician just shells out money for everything, for guitars, for amplifiers, for pedals, for strings, for time, your time, rehearsing. This guy rehearsed with these people, he put them together, he rehearsed. It's time and effort, and the time and effort, he did it all. Yeah, and you do all that as a musician, you pay it all out, and do you know what? Yeah, on the whole, you play to nobody. And you can record albums that no one listens to, and you can play gigs that no one watches. That's life. And we're mocking him for it. Threatin. He pulled off a coup there. So I'm looking at the positives here. I say all credit to him. I would like to know down below what you guys think on this subject. Is he a hero or is he a zero? The question is out there to you. Thank you very much. There was a little bit of a subscriber shake-up on YouTube recently, over the last few days. They've been warning us to notice that our subscriber count might go down. And to be fair, mine did, but apparently only about 10 of you were spam subscribers. So I think I didn't do too badly there. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you liked the video, do that. If you didn't like the video, over. And perhaps we should look at, should we just look at a bit of threats? Should we see if we can find Threatin? Well, there you go. Probably because of people like me and you. His latest video has 139,000 views. Oh, okay. 42 seconds. This is his tour promotional video from 2 months ago. Right. Let's just see if we can forward through it so we don't get hit. See, there's the pictures of a stage. And tell you what, that, right, all credit to him, right? All credit to him. Hopefully I didn't get a copyright hit then. Probably did. All credit to him. That looked pretty good, didn't it? Or were you going to just say it didn't now, just to be contrary? That's... I mean, like, you know, it's not, doesn't sound like it's my sort of music or my sort of look, but credit to him. He pulled it off. Oh, I remember the last bit of the story. So the last bit of the story is that the BBC interviewer, Jessica Lusenhop, she interviews Jared, and he shows her evidence on his phone that he was responsible for sending out emails to journalists at the time his tour started, telling them that his band and his tour was fraudulent. So he tweeted at the time, Threatin tweeted at the time, "What is fake news? I turned an empty room into an international headline. If you're reading this, you are part of the illusion." He's being very esoteric about it, and to be fair, he's got a point. But the interesting part is he had something he was eager to show me, a series of emails that he said he sent under yet another alias, a Gmail account belonging to Evie Knows It. Urgent news tip, the subject line read. The musician going by the name Threatin is a total fake. He faked a record label, booking agent, Facebook likes and an online fan base to book a European tour. 0 people are coming to the shows and it is clear that his entire operation is a fake, he wrote, including links to all his phony websites. Please don't let this man fake his way to fame. Please expose him. And the first message he showed me was dated 2nd of November, a day into the tour and a week before the first news reports were published. So what he's saying to the journalist is that not only did he fake everything to get to the point where he could go on tour, but he also then destroyed his own tour, created the publicity that means that we're talking about it now, including me, by sending out the emails. Now, I don't know if I buy that. It's very easy to fake the fact that you can easily backdate stuff and fake that. So whether I buy that very final bit of information, I'm not so sure. That could be face saving, because if you can really prove that not only did you create a UK tour, but you also created because bands playing to nobody is not a story. It happens all the time. However, this story has been created, and if it was proved that he did the creation, that would be something. That would be better than going on tour in the first place. The destruction of your tour, the destruction of your created tour is a more interesting story than the creation of the tour. Are you with me? So that's the end of the story. Jared Threatin claims that he was the orchestrator of his own downfall and the creator of the whole world talking about him. The whole world's talking about him negatively, but I just gave him another click on his video. So there you go. So add that to the bit down below. I don't know if I buy that. I think he secretly hoped that people would turn up at the venues. Because, I don't know, if I set up a load of gigs in America, I don't know America, if I set up some gigs, like wherever, in Ohio or somewhere, or I would just hope that I was playing a venue that people would just turn up at anyway, and I'd get away with it. And they turn up and go, oh look, there's this English bloke. Hey guys, there's this English bloke playing our club. Come over and have a look. But no one turned up. Do you think he was the orchestrator of his own downfall? Or do you think that's just saving face after the event? Anyway, now I will say over and